Hey guys, James coming from Kartz-N-Fartz. So today we're going to do a double take body makeover on a club car Precedent. So I use a lot of these double take bodies. These are the club car Precedent lookalikes, and just a couple little quick steps, but not rocket science, but it's kind of a neat deal. If you're looking at buying a double take body, I would strongly suggest it. The finish is unbelievable. So first thing you're going to realize when you get these double take bodies, they have like a little clear coating. So I don't know if the camera will pick up on that. So first one I got in, it was such a tight fit like it is over here on this side. I thought it had scratches in there, and then I realized to protect it, they put this clear coating, and all it does is just pull off. Super simple. And I'm telling you, the way they manufacture these plastic bodies, it is like perfect. There's no fisheye, no bubbles. I know a lot of guys like to paint their carts the custom color, but these you don't need to do that. So now let's move on. Okay guys, on the rear body, it's the same thing. And try to let you see it where the camera can see it. You've got this clear plastic film, and on this, when you take it apart, you just have to break it off because it's not going to come in one piece. So as I pull it off, again, perfect finish. This one here happens to be what they call graphite, which is a metallic gray. And we'll just peel that all the way off. All right, you can see we've got all the plastic peeled back. It also has this big, thick piece of cardboard for transportation, I guess, or shipping. It comes right back here. It just comes off too. Don't need to keep that. Now, there's one part of here that makes it easier for me that I want to show you. When we put the reverse neutral switch on there, these little holes are actually a little bit smaller than what the OEM holes, and the clips won't fit properly. So I use a little step-up bit, and I'm actually going to drill this out just a little bit. So I'm going to hit that. That should be enough. And that is, let's see what size that is. That is 7/16. So I stepped it up to the second to the largest hole on this step-up bit to 7/16, and I want to show you what that looks like. All right, as you can see, it's a little bit larger than what that side is right there. So back to my one-hand video. Let's drill this one out. That's all it is to it. So these bodies are the same color all throughout. So if you look at the inside, it's gray. It doesn't have metallic finish on the inside, but they are metallic. It really looks good. So when we get ready to put this back together, you'll remember why I did this off the cart. One other thing to mention, these double take bodies already have the holes cut for your rear lights. And this is actually the club car Precedent that we're going to put it on. This is a 2017. You know, these club car Precedent bodies are about the same from, like, I don't know, 08 on up, maybe even further back than that. So this customer does have a broken windshield, so we're going to replace the windshield. But that's just a standard blue golf cart body that he's been running around on, but now he's ready to dress it up a little bit. So we're going to get that body and that hood on here. We're going to use the existing tail lights. So let's get started. All right, guys, I took the windshield off. We're going to go ahead and put the hood on here. And what we're going to do is take this little, I'm going to call it a brow off. Using my little drill. This is a T20, and there should be 4 of these screws. Come out real simple. With one hand, I'm probably going to drop a few. Yep, I'll pick those up in a second. This one right above the steering column. Just got to hold that little angle, but it will come out. And I usually take a cup and put all my screws in there. It works out good for me. You figure out what you want to do. So there's one. Let's get over here. 2, 3, and there was a 4th one somewhere. There it is, right there. 4. So I got my 4 screws out, and then this brow is just going to pull loose. Super simple. We're going to take the seat off in a second. Now watch how easy this hood comes out. You can see some of the scratch marks, but you'll never see that anyway. But all you do is pull it, and it unsnaps. That's it. So that's what it looks like underneath your hood. There are some structural support. I guess that's to keep it from caving if you land on it or run over your buddy or whatever. So now we're gonna take our hood and we're gonna walk over here. And what I'm gonna do is line that up real easily. All right, so I got it. You can see why the windshield's off. It makes it a lot easier. And it is pollen season right now, so that's what that is on top of there. Now, when I pull this up, you're gonna see those little tabs. They're gonna go in these slots. And there's one on the middle. There's the other side. So just make sure that lines up properly. These will tend to wanna kick out, so make sure that's in there. I walk around, make sure everything is flat. Now, the next step is to take this brow, and it's gonna take 2 hands, so I'm not gonna be able to video that. And you can see it's got 4 mounting points right there. So I'll take the same screws that I just took out, and usually I push this down, and this might be squeezed in just a little bit, but you can work it in, it's not a problem. Usually I start from one of the corners because it's a little bit wider, and once I get it on there, it'll hit flush, and then you can actually see through the hole whether you're lined up or not. Once you get one hole started, you know the drill. Just put a couple turns, go to your other 4. Once you get all of them in place, then you can snug them down. Now remember, this is plastic. Try not to over torque that. It's not a wheel. You don't need to tighten it like you're tightening your wheels on there. So just be careful so you don't pull the threads through there. So let me put that on with 2 hands. So I stopped here for a second. So I laid it on top. I kind of pulled, it sits about like that. So I pulled the top on. As I'm wiggling it, it's getting on tight. You can see the side. Pushing it in. Guys, I know if I'm doing this with one hand, you guys can do it with both hands. Now, when I get my drill has a light on the end of it. So I'm just kind of looking inside there. And it's hard to see with this camera, but I'm a little bit to the left. So I'm just gonna kind of wiggle it over a little bit. Let's look at it again. Yep, I'm dead on it. I don't know if you can see that, but I can see the hole. So now I'm gonna start my screws. Okay, I've got all my screws started, maybe about halfway through. At this point now, let me get a towel here to wipe it down with. I've got so much pollen over here. So at this point now, you just want to make sure there's no gap right along the front. And if there is, just kind of push down on it because it will find itself right down in there. So all along here looks very good. That looks very good. And even this side looks very good, other than the pollen. So now, let's take our drill and let's snug those up. All right, there we go, got that one. Got that one snug. All right, hear the clutch kick in. So I got them all 4 snug. Let's look at it. Yep, it stayed in place. So there's my hood. So a pretty simple part. I'm not gonna put the windshield on yet. I've got to pick one up tomorrow. And so now we're gonna remove the seat bottom, and I'm not gonna take the seat all the way off. So what I'm going to attempt to do is just unbolt the seat. This rear seat is held by 10 millimeters. 4 of those. I'm gonna have to take the roof loose and probably take these off too. It'll be easier to take these struts off, and that way I can tilt the seat up and I can slide the rear body off. So let's go ahead and get started on that. All right, the next step is to take your forward and reverse switch loose. That is a T25. So let's take those screws out. All right, so again, these 2 screws goes into my little cup so I can hold on to them. So that comes loose. And these clips we're going to reuse. I'll tell you about those in a second. Now on your charging port down here, stick something like a little, oops, sorry about that, I bumped the wrong button. take something like a little pick. Once you stick it in that little hole, pull it towards the inside. Same thing on the other side. And that little trim ring will come right off without damaging those tabs. So we'll put that back in our cup. So that took that loose. Now the next step for us to take a picture of those wires, I do so many, I know what the color of the wires are. So remember, your orange is always in the middle. If you reverse these two, it's not gonna make a big difference, but keep your orange in the middle. And now we need to take these off on each side and then take this floor mat off. So these are T30s. So once you take those side panel bolts off, and I've already taken the other two off, there's a clip about right here, and I'm gonna reach under and loosen that up. There's another one about right here, I think. So I like to slip this little door panel tool. Let's get it underneath there. And just kind of wiggle it until it snaps loose. There it goes. Now remember, we only need to pull this back far enough. Oops, I got my thumb in the way, sorry about that. So we only need to pull this back far enough where we can get this floor mat up and out of the way. So once we get the floor mat out of the way, a little wet underneath there, we can access those T30, and there's 3 of them. So let me get the floor mat out the way with 2 hands and I'll be back. All right, we got the floor mat up. Let me show you a little tech tip. So this one's not bad, but inside of that T30 there, a lot of times they'll have sand in there. And if you take your little pick tool and just kind of wiggle it back and forth, it'll knock enough sand out of there to where your T30 Torx bit can actually get on there and take it out. Like I said, this cart here is pretty clean. Didn't have to worry a lot about that. But I have taken them apart where they've got so much sand, I couldn't get a grip on it. So there's 1, 2, and 3. Again, put in my little solo cup. Now at this point, we want to take the body bolts. There's 4 of those. Use the same T30 and take those all the way out. Here's another one. And then in the back, you've got 2 more. So these are in the corner. Trying to be careful with one hand not to drop those. I got it. Not too difficult. Now my little drill battery's going weak on me. Let me get another battery. All right, we're back at it. Let's see if this one's better. Yep. Oh yeah, much better battery. Let's grab that bolt. Now, whoops, keep putting my finger in front of the lens. Now this whole thing will lift up. If you notice, those 4 reverse wires will slide back there. And guys, I probably forgot to mention this. Cut your toe switch off right there before you start pulling on any kind of wires. So now that I've got that loose, let's see if I can zoom out here with one hand. As I pull this up, this little charging panel will kind of rotate out of there. Let's see if I can lay the, I don't know if you can see that or not. Nah. There we go. Here we go. So that does come out. Again, sorry about, this is a lot easier with 2 hands than 1 hand. So obviously we're going to reuse that, but now your body's loose. So next step, we need to take these screws, and I think these are 17s, but different back seats would be 16, 17, somewhere around there. I'm going to take these completely off. It's going to be fine to dangle from the front struts. That's not going to hurt anything. And then I need to take these 10 millimeters out. So let me grab those tools. All right, so let's take these 10 millimeters out. Not sure if this is a GTW seat or something similar. I'll show you another little trick that I use. Got a pretty strong magnet. So in this case, best way to get them bolts out put these back up there in my solo cup. Little magnet, works pretty good. I put some tape on there so I wouldn't lose it. And I keep it, I always know where it is. So, all right, so next step, let me get some wrenches and start working on getting that rear struts loose. All right, guys, so I decided to take the front seat off, the front seat back. It's laying right over there. It just makes it easier when I'm doing all this with one hand. Once I took the 10mm screws off, I think I had that on video, lay my drill down. So I put a floor jack just to kind of support this rear step. There's enough room in here, it's not gonna hurt anything. So I've got it resting and I've got it tilted up enough to where I can pull the body up. The body's gonna have two clips, one along here, one along the other side. Now the new double take body over there will not, but it's gonna fit flush. You're not gonna have a problem with that. I did go ahead and take the Phillips head screws. Generally, on most of these light kits, they've only got two. One for the goes to the underbody, the other goes right into the corner of the body. So I went in and took those loose. So now the next step is to grab the edge of this and just kind of pull up. So what I like to do is pull this up. I think that clip's about right there, and you might even hear it snap. There it goes, that snapped. Let's go around to the other side. There it goes, it snapped. Now, the tail lights are stuck onto the body with two-sided tape, so we're gonna gently try to get those off there. And this one came off pretty good. So you can see where you had to drill it. If you installed your light kit before, you'll know you have to drill the original body. You can see where the hole for the edge of the light was and where it went into the side of the underbody. And we're gonna get pretty close to the same space. So I've got that loose as and this is gonna be very difficult with one hand, but as I lift this up, you can see the harness. So I'm gonna reach in there and I'm gonna unplug the tail light. The harness is still gonna be on that track, and I'm gonna do that to both sides. So now I'm gonna gently, there we go. And these tail lights are not very expensive if you happen to break one, but I've never broken one. I'm just always a little bit careful. There you go. It comes right off. And sometimes you can even pull it. There might be enough just like that. And squeeze these little tabs in. Again, with two hands, it's gonna be a little easier. There you go. So I'll lay that down in there. Let's see if I can get the other one out the same way. There we go. Pull those little tabs, wiggle it, and it comes right off. So now I can lift this body. These things are very flexible. Now, when I put the new body on here, I'm probably gonna do it with two hands rather than one hand because I don't want to take a chance on anything underneath here scratching the new body. This old one I don't care about because this is probably gonna get scrapped. And then once you get that out of the way, there you go. Let's get this in the driveway. So that's what it looks like with the body off. You notice all that's part of what they call the rear underbody. And you can see where your bucket harness comes in from your battery compartment, and that's what plugs into your tail lights. So pretty simple deal there. Now the next step is, and I usually like to grab a big screwdriver. Let's walk over here. If you try to take these off when it's on the golf cart, they generally fall down and you gotta look for those jokers. So put your flat edge screwdriver. Once you get it over the hump of that hole, it's a little easier. If you keep pulling it, it could spring on you. There we go. And so now I'm just gonna take my hand, take those off. But if you look at these things, can you see that little part that's sticking down right there in the center? That's the part that's gonna clip into the hole. And you can see these holes, they're larger than what the double takes were. Tell you what, let's go ahead and put those on. So let's take our double take body. So you want to take these clips and push them. I'll try this with one hand. Let me try it with two hands. Hold on one second. All right, I just got that one installed. And this one here, did you hear it pop in place? So now it is in that hole. And the important thing is it's flat, it's flush. So that's what we want. So now this one, that's ready to go. So now I'm gonna take two hands instead of one, and I'm gonna put it on the cart, and I'll show you what that looks like. All right, guys, one other thing I'm gonna do, you see that's a pretty tight little fit, but if you follow this little harness, you've got a lot of room there. So I'm gonna take this and I'm gonna pull it. Remember, I can always pull it out if I don't like it. Now I've got enough hanging out where I can insert it into these holes on the new double take body. So let's see if I can do the same to the other side. So there's your harness. That's actually for the watering system there. Let's go ahead and get that out of the way. So I'm gonna pull that. It seems like I can do a little more. There we go. Got it hanging out. So now let me slide the body on. Guys, to make it easy on yourself, go ahead and insert the bottom underneath the steering wheel. If you try to do it that way and snug it in there, the steering wheel is going to get in your way. So I am going to shift it forward, come down, and I'm going to be very careful not to scratch it on any bolts or anything underneath here. All right, once I got to this point, nothing's in yet, I went ahead and hooked up my tail lights, and I've got them dangling just so that wire doesn't get in there and I can't reach it. So that worked for me on both sides. Now let me try to shove this body back easily, pull it down, and make sure it snaps into place. And when I say snaps into place, let's go from this angle. Can you see that little groove right there? Will my camera focus? Yeah, that little groove, that's gonna be the edge of the body. It's gonna fit in that groove, and it's gonna go down inside this rear bumper also. So same thing on both sides. That actually might be a little better angle. You can see that groove. So that's what I'm gonna try to fit in there, and I'll worry about pushing the tail light harness in there in a moment. All right, I've got that snapped into place pretty well. I don't have it snapped into here yet. It's just a little bit of groove that it will snap into that place. But my next step is to put my charging port kick plate on, which is right over there by my heater. That's gonna be my next step, to put that on. All right, so now I lifted up the body just enough to make sure that it fits inside of this groove. There you go, pushing that in. Don't worry about your side panels yet. We're gonna come to that. And you also wanna make sure it fits in this groove all across the front. So once I get it into place, this side looks good. Let's look at the other side. I'm way out right here, so I just need to get it and see what happens. The side panel gets in the way. So we're gonna pull it out of the way, make sure I'm in that front groove, and it will hang up right here. So let's try to push that. There it goes. I don't know if you can see that, but it dropped down maybe 1/8 of an inch. Not a whole lot, but it is flat. It's flat along here on your underbody. Again, the seat's gonna hold it down. And if I can look in there, I can see my starter holes. Actually pull it in just a little bit. You see my starter holes there? So I'll get that in place. And we'll worry about this after we get the floor mat in there. Voila, we got a gray cart. So let's look at the other side again. Oh, the other side kicked out. So, and that's gonna happen. It's a little tricky to get them in there, but once you do get them, it will stay when we screw it down. Yeah, that looks pretty good to me. All right, let's move on to the next step. All right, guys, one other thing I wanna show you. The double take bodies, they come with these little clips, and I've already cut them open. Let me show you what they look like. These little clips here. So what these little, they're like a big fancy washer. So we're gonna use these screws here. Those are the ones that generally come with the Precedent bodies. So 2 of them's gonna go up front, no problem. The other 2 are gonna go inside of here, like so, and hold it down. So let me show you what I'm talking about. See the body, how it's got these little grooves? So we're going to put that in there, and it's going to actually screw in and hold the back down. Now the original body, the OEM, is just got a solid piece of flexible plastic or whatever material this body's made out of. But the aftermarket body does not. So we have to use these clips. The other screws just go in there, and that is solid. So let me screw those down and we'll go to the next step. All right, I used my T30 bit. 1, 2, 3, and 4 right there. So we got those snugged in. Now the next step is gonna be plug my forward reverse switch out. Hey, you remember what color goes in the middle from earlier in the video? That's right, the orange goes in the middle. So let's go ahead and plug that up, and we'll screw these in with, I believe those are T25s. Now the T25s, when you screw those in, as soon as you get one started with some threads, stop, go to the other side, get it started with some threads. If you tighten one side up, it'll kick it out, and those bolts are generally not long enough to grab it. So we are stretching those threads to the limit, so just snug it in. All right, that was it, T25. I've got that in there. It's good and snug. Now we're gonna pop our charging receptacle retainer. So we'll just balance it. There it goes, both of them snapped, it's on there. So now we need to screw the tail lights on. In actuality, I'm gonna screw the tail lights on once I bolt the seat back. So now I'm gonna bring this seat kit forward, and you can see the two areas where the 10 millimeter bolts go. So if you can't find your 10 millimeter socket, join the team, but grab plenty of those. All right, I got my 4 10 millimeter bolts put in the back seat, so it's solid. It's not going anywhere. So next step, we can actually fold this forward so we can access it. So let's try to fit these tail lights in the exact same holes. I can't see that one, but I know it's gonna be straight. If I can line up the holes off this whole bumper, it should line up perfectly. And Double Take's done a real good job. I've never had these pre-cut holes ever be in the wrong place. On these corners, yep, that one's pulled down. Let's make sure it's pulled all the way down. Now see, now that one was not. Let's make sure, there we go. There you go, it's in place. So now that that is in place, now I'm going to find these holes with the end of the tail light, and let's put it on there. All right, we got that done. One other little tech secret: when you're drilling these in, if you just hammer down on it, you're going to crack the ends. You see these ends are not cracked. A little bit of plastic in there, but they are not cracked. Right when I feel like I'm getting close to the end, I stop with my hand, and I just use the tool itself to just get a good little slight hand torque on there. I was able to find the same holes, so it looks identical, but she is now gray rather than that old blue. And with that black top, it's really gonna look good. So now we need to put the carpet back down. And once we put the carpet down, then we'll secure these side seals. When you do, you need to push down and push this underneath there. These double tape bodies, to me, I think they're maybe a 1/16 inch wide. So you want to get a good firm fit on that, because as they're painted plastic and molded plastic, they don't flex like the rubber ones do. So, or I say rubber, whatever material the club car is. But not a difficult thing to do. So just don't be alarmed if it's a little snug right around here once you start tightening down that T40. So let's go ahead and get that done. All right, my next step is going to be to re-secure my rear struts. And by the way, I never took them loose at the top. I just kind of let it dangle, it was fine. So now I need to re-secure that, then put my back seat, my front seat on. Let's see what it looks like. And I didn't mention earlier, because I've ran across some seat kits that are different, but these were 17 millimeter. I only had one 17 millimeter wrench, but I had a 11/16, which is real close, and it was enough to get these and the lock nuts on there. So let's go ahead and put those on those rear struts. All right, guys, so we're all finished except for the windshield. Pick that up tomorrow from my parts supplier. But yeah, this metallic gray really looks good. I mean, it's a near perfect finish. No fish eyes, no runs, no hassle going back and forth. And I don't know when the last time you've had anything painted, but what it takes to paint one of these OEM bodies with materials, with good quality paint, it's a whole lot of money. You can just buy a brand new one already done. So again, appreciate you guys tuning in, and I think my customers are gonna be very happy. Hey guys, thanks again for tuning in to one of my DIY videos. So as you can tell, it's not a big deal to put on a body, and if you're a little bit handy, you know, you can drastically change the looks of your golf cart. So I do think the double take bodies make some of the best bodies that I've had an opportunity to work with. Done several alpha bodies, but I still like the double take bodies. It's just kind of simple, straightforward, and an awesome finish. I mean, really awesome finish. So I've got my wife's cart over there. It's in a teal, it's a limo cart. I'm very happy with their products on that. So don't forget, I'm your authorized local Columbia, South Carolina, Lexington, South Carolina eco battery dealer. I sell a lot of batteries, do a lot of phone support, a lot of FaceTime help. So I'm just you know, excited to handle such an awesome product. Other services I can offer you, Plum Quick dealer. So I usually keep a good many of Bandit motors in stock, so you don't have to wait the 8 weeks. That's a good bang for the buck, the Plum Quick Bandit. I'm also a Red Hawk dealer, and Red Hawk is the company that took over Double Take. Double Take's out of North Carolina, but Red Hawk merged with them. Still getting their products, awesome stuff. So if you got any questions, give me a call. My phone number is 803-530-5813. If I'm available, I will answer the phone. Give me an email, james@Kartz-N-Fartz.com. And I've got a website, should be launching pretty soon, right here at the beginning of the summer of 2023. So if you're watching this video right away, it might not be up and running yet, but it's going to be very close. So see the website of any parts that I've got for sale locally, or any kind of services I can offer. So thanks again, guys. Enjoy your carts and be safe.